Alrighty YouTubers, as promised on the live stream, I'm now going to go through the new DE cache and show you some nades that all existed before, and obviously maybe some new ones. So we'll start off with the T side and we'll kind of go from there, maybe look into some executes and also some nades that you can do to kind of make your life a little bit easier. Alright, so first of all, obviously everybody's played the old cache. This new cache isn't too different. You've still got smokes that pretty much land in similar places, so your Z smoke, for example, is still just aiming at that box there and a quick jump throw as you come past these crossing lines, or pedestrian crossing, whatever you want to call this. There's a little pattern here. When the moment you get past that, whilst you're aiming at this here, you'll see that that lands quite nicely into Z, giving you a full smoke. For those of you that maybe play with your friends, just be aware that, or anybody maybe if you're playing at a higher rank, be aware that some people do like to boost on this corner to see through. With the new window being in there, I'm not sure if that's going to be something that people do anymore. But yeah, so just to kind of show that lineup again, it's pretty much when you spawn, just make sure you're facing directly into the middle. So if you're off to the side, just make sure as you come in, you get to the center. I've actually started to aim mine a bit more to the right just to make it land in, but just for this sake, just make sure you're aiming there, and a quick jump throw. It doesn't matter if it's 64 tick, 128 tick, it will land in that spot. As you can see, I'm aiming mine a little bit more to the right now, just to get it a bit more central. So that's obviously one of the first smokes. Now, the other smokes that you can throw for middle, they're still the same, the kind of walkout smokes. You still got the one that you throw to the left corner there, and the other one where you throw here. I've just messed that one up, haven't I? Let me throw that again. So this one is just a bit more inside that corner there, and then off in the middle there. Gives you those nice walkout smokes. I quite like to leave this gap here, just because it's not one that's easily seen. It also still allows you to contest the white box area, and also maybe contest through. If you're not a fan of this gap and you'd like them to be a bit further across, then obviously when you throw this one from here, just make sure you aim just inside the corner there, okay? That will get further across so you don't end up with that gap. But yeah, so as you can already kind of tell, there's not much of a difference on these smokes. I don't know how many of you used to know this, but this smoke still works for boost. Basically come to the front of the barrel here, run yourself into the front of it, aim at the top corner of this building, and you're going to release the moment you hit that second balcony. Or not. Maybe a little bit before. Okay. Let's try this again. So come up here, aim at that, and release maybe just before you hit the balcony. Yeah. Now, the difference of this smoke is, I don't know if you guys remember from before the ones it used to throw, but it used to land down here, giving you a nice one-way across the top. This one now doesn't. It actually just sits nicely on the top of the boost. It still allows you to kind of come across here, which is nice, and it'll stop any Molotov that is thrown onto boost. But again, because of the changes to the boost, you no longer have those nice little one-ways that you would get underneath. But yeah, they're kind of the main T-smokes towards middle. There's the possibility of throwing a white box smoke as well. Again, this lineup is not particularly accurate. You don't need to, just basically kind of get it in this general direction and throw the moment you get past the crossing again. Yeah, that can be your white box smoke if you're really a big fan of throwing this, but the problem with this now is that again, it still works fine. I never really found that much success with it, but it can be really useful. You force CTs to kind of sit more out in the open. They're not really able to hold boost from around here, but now with the window in there, I'm not sure how useful this is going to be. Now, talking of the window, myself, the way that I found the best way to deal with it, now this is not the simplest of Molotovs to throw, so it might take you a bit of practice, but basically you're going to come into where these two telephone booths are. If you run just to the left of the center, so you get wedged in here, if you run at the middle, you'll kind of bounce off into this one. So just make sure you're running just to the left of the center, and then I'll get the scout out so you can kind of see where I'm lining it up. But this little ledge here, I'm coming into the white area off that height, okay? And then basically I'm going to take a little run forward and jump throw. Not too much, and again, like I said, it does take a little bit of a practice, and this probably only lands on 128 tick, 64 tick. I imagine you'd aim a little bit higher. That's what I found with jump throws for 64 tick, you just have to aim a little bit higher. So maybe you want to wiggle them around a little bit, but it's pretty much just a little bit of a run and a jump throw. And once you get the hang of it, you'll get this really nice Molotov that burns this entire area. It won't, you won't be able to land this before they get there, unfortunately, so maybe trying to get some tick damage as they run through, but it's a really good way to handle that window peak if you're struggling, if you can't kind of coordinate to kind of deal with the window itself. Alright, so yeah, coming up to here then, if you want to Molotov the vents, just simply come up to the left hand side of the pallet here, again on the inside of the door frame, up to the height of the kind of roof here where it comes out. And you're going to run forward, and the moment you go down the ramp, you're going to release. This will burn everything inside the vents. Even if the vents aren't broken, it will still bounce its way in and cause any CT in here to reconsider if they're going to actually sit in there, just pick up that, or if they're going to, kind of bail. But yeah, that's pretty much middle for T-side. Towards the sites is when it gets a bit more interesting, so I'll kind of cover the basic ones that everybody used to know, and then I'll kind of come in with some new ones that may be shown. But basically, the cross smoke that I now throw from A main, I pretty much come up to this broken bit of shattered glass here, kind of get in the middle of it. Or do I come here? Actually, I might come to this kind of wooden frame on the window here. And then it's just a little simple step throw into the box like it was before. It's not really changed. If you're a bit worried about maybe being exposed to quad when you throw it, you can kind of stand in between the two. Again, this smoke has always been really forgiving as to where you throw it from. As to how deep it goes, if you're a bit afraid that you might throw it too deep, then just do a little step throw instead, and that will land perfectly fine. It's entirely up to you how you want to throw it. Likewise, again from A main, if you come here and you kind of aim at this top of the corner here, you get this kind of backside smoke. And obviously, if you're wanting to smoke heaven, you can just kind of throw a left click into the wall there. That gives you a heaven smoke. Again, these are all smokes that you can throw from kind of inside A main as you're coming out. If you're not particularly comfortable throwing maybe more intricate lineups, these are pretty simple ones. But again, they can be punished by peaks and everything like that, so please do be careful. Now comes the kind of more executey style of the map. Again, what the old cache used to have and the new cache seems to follow on with, which I quite like, is these kind of outside A main smokes. So they allow you to not only throw and execute properly, like how your Mirage plays and stuff like that maybe not all of you are aware of, also allows you to bring up some pretty interesting fakes where you can kind of throw them from here and then start walking towards B or even middle. But yeah, so the first one I'll show you is the backside smoke, and basically what you're going to do is when you come up to this wall, you can see there's kind of 3 lines of these dots. Get yourself lined up with the middle one. Again, this is just for 128 tick servers. I imagine it might work for 64 tick as well. You can definitely give it a try and see if it does. Aiming maybe a little bit higher for 64 ticks. But basically look for this kind of blue panel or maybe grey, not blue, in the wall here, in the upper part of the wall, and you're going to aim in the top left corner, and you're just going to jump throw. And that's going to fly quite nicely over and give you this nice backside smoke. That's really quite nice. Again, it leaves this little gap in the corner here. So don't be too particularly worried. The only thing that's going to be abused by this gap is maybe somebody walking up highway. They can see the cross onto site here. But in particular, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. So yeah, that's the first one. So for the second smoke that I want to show you, you're going to come up to here. This is going to be the highway cross smoke. You're going to line yourself up whilst crouched. So stood up, crouched, in between the yellow and red here where they meet. Then you're going to bring this up and kind of line it up like so. So just to kind of help show you, that's how it looks with the default view model whilst crouched. You're then going to stand up and release. I'll just show you this one landing, and then I'll kind of talk about how you line it up. But there you go. And that will land there perfectly crossing off this area of the site, not leaving any gaps for CTs to abuse. To show the lineup for this properly, again, whilst crouched in here, you're going to use this left-hand side of the window pane here to come up, and then you're going to use with the default model, you're going to use your finger to touch the middle of the window pane there on the grey-blue area, and then you'll stand up and then release. And then the final one, the heaven smoke that I wanted to show, is relatively straightforward. You're basically going to come into this right-hand side of the palette here. Sorry, I got a bit lost there, didn't I? And you see the kind of black edge here where the broken glass? I come up to there and kind of aim halfway between the light and the connection on the post, and just a left-click throw. And that's going to come down and just sit nicely on heaven here and smoke it off perfectly. One thing I will add, I guess it's not a utility, but it's a bit of knowledge for you, or maybe to make you aware, is I found that this spot here can be very powerful for a CT to sit on, purely because when these execute smokes come down, or in a lot of cases the team will just throw this one, this guy is more than capable of getting up on here and still seeing, and if both the smokes come down, including this one, he basically gets himself on here, and he can see very comfortably over the top. Again, you can't go too far over, but you can see, you can kind of get yourself up on top of the smokes. So I highly recommend, especially for you entry fraggers out there, that this be one of the, once you clear like the general stuff, this be the next area of focus for you. Now, over towards B for a T. One of the most important smokes, and I feel that everybody should be able to throw, is the B main cross smoke. And the way that I smoke this is I look for the hole in the window here, get myself thrown right into it, and then I'm basically looking for this metal bar in the girder here. So you go 2 V's. If you see the 2 V's here, you could 2 V's across, and then it's the vertical line on there. I aim at the top, and I run forward and release the moment that I get past the bottom half of it. Then come to the edge of this doorway here, aim at the red here, run forward a little bit, and release. And that gives you your Molotov into checkers. Now, this is where cash has changed a little bit. This lineup's changed, and also the way that you did this lineup. Now, if everybody remembers all these 4 panes of glass, or this glass area would break with 1 shot, it now breaks 4 individual shots. I'm yet to find a use to this. I imagine that can be pretty useful, especially for getting Molotovs into here without having to come close. Maybe you can now use the glass to kind of reduce the speed of the Molotov. Like I said, so the new lineup that you're going to have now is going to be a very simple one. Again, might take a little bit of practice just to get the lineup if you don't have the nade crosshair, but with this crosshair it's pretty easy. And the way you're going to do it is, you see the smudge here on the left hand side, like where it kind of is dirty, the dirty edge, as that's how I'm going to describe it. That's where my Y is going to touch, and my X is going to run through the middle bolt here that you used to use as the lineup. And that's just a simple left click. And when that comes through, it'll clip the edge of the box there and drop down nicely into CT to there. Okay, on to everything else. The only other bit that I can add for B, obviously you've got from Sunroom, you can throw your Molotovs. They're all still exactly the same. The way that I throw this is just on this corner here. So kind of come down from the edge there to the end of bottom of the grey-green area. Just throw that in. That gives you a really nice Molotov that both Molly's headshot and default together. And the way that I used to Molotov triple is just come into this corner here, and then can you see the 2 dots? Aim for the bottom one. That comes down on Molotov's triple. Now, like I said, the glass itself I haven't messed around with too much, and I'm not going to focus on that today, but I've got a feeling that might produce some pretty interesting Molotovs as well. Maybe you can get one that comes down and lands here, and then the second one goes into default or something. Okay, so the next smoke I want to show you guys is a very nice basic one. Basically come into the corner here, pretty much come to the corner and then move across until you can see here that the lamp is covered by the wall. Then aim at the top right corner of the wooden wall, and you're going to run forward until your hand pretty much meets the wall, and then you're going to jump through, okay? What that will do is smoke heaven off for you pretty nicely. You can also do the exact same thing with a Molotov and it will land. I'm more than happy to show you. Just give it a second to wait for that smoke to fade. Now obviously this is, you are exposing yourself to heaven for a second when you throw it, and also CT. So do be careful when you're throwing this. But it is a very useful way to smoke it. Again, this was in the old cache as well. The other option is just to come here, you know, and do a quick throw. Maybe aim at the back there so that it kicks back in. That was the old way. That's obviously the other way. I have messed around a little bit here and I've not found any way to smoke Kevin from here, which I'm a bit disappointed at, to be honest. I was hoping there'd be a better way, but there unfortunately isn't. But yeah, that is pretty much B as well. You know, you've got your CT smoke, your Heaven smoke, Heaven Molotov, default headshot Molotov and triple Molotov. There's not a lot more to it. The B main smoke as well. And that pretty much covers T side, to be honest. There's not really a lot else to go through on it. It's again, the new map is pretty much the same. I'm more than happy in another video to go through tips and tricks that you can do on the new cache. But I feel like at the moment there's, you know, it's still being, I'm still learning it as well as everybody else is. But there's definitely some new things showing. Alrighty guys, thank you ever so much for watching. This has been the first part in a two-part episode that I'm going to do for the new cache on kind of basic utility and overall smokes and molotovs and all that kind of stuff that you can throw. As it is the first one, I'd really appreciate feedback on anything you want to give. If there's stuff that I've missed out that you feel I need to involve, if there's stuff that I've gone over too much and you'd maybe like me to slow it down, let me know. But other than that, I've really enjoyed doing this, and I'm hoping to create some more. Any maps, you know, that you need going through, I'll look to kind of cover them all as we go through them. But yeah, next episode will involve the CT side of this map. It's going to involve some actually relatively new ways of throwing some smokes, and some what I'm going to call golden nuggets as such are going to be some pretty unique pieces of utility that you might not have seen before. But genuinely, I'm looking forward to it. If you want to, you're more than welcome to come catch me on the live stream. I'm pretty much streaming every day from about 4 or 5 o'clock GMT, all the way through till the evening. I'll be streaming all sorts from, you know, CSGO pokes to even some chat games with you guys from time to time when there's another view on to play and you're all not just lurking. But yeah, as always, thank you ever so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, morning, evening, whenever it is that you watch this. Thank you. Bye-bye.